up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football, and welcome back to your Friday live stream. I like to call it a Freak Flag Feel Good. Fake it till you make it. Ric Flair, woo! Football Friday edition of your live stream right here on Texas Football. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by the latest member of the On Texas Football family, my good friend and the esteemed co-worker now, Jeff Howe. Also, pleased to be joined by the estimable Jerry Hamilton as well. You guys know him because of all the nice nuggets that he drops about recruiting. As a matter of fact, we will talk some recruiting coming up here on the show. There is a 2026 recruit that the Longhorns have their eye on. And I think, Jerry, is he making his announcement later on today? We might actually be on when he makes his announcement.
I think it's Chuck Woolery, 2-2. We'll see it.
So Hayward Howard, right? Hayward Howard, Jr. Yep. He's a junior.
It is a junior. His father played at Ole Miss, played defensive line at Ole Miss. Big old dude, 6'4", 285-ish. Hayward Howard was a late developer physically. 2 years ago, he was listed on the Max Preps roster at 5'10", 145. He's now 6'2", 170. Now, even if that wasn't accurate, he's 6'2 and a quarter, 175 now with about an 80-inch wingspan. Rod, I know you've watched him before, Hayward Howard, some tape when we kind of talked about some of these underclassmen DBs at Texas recruiting. Mm-hmm. A guy that Terry Joseph offered a few days before he left for the Saints. So Texas had a great visit in April with Hayward Howard and Hayward Howard Jr. That was their first meeting with Mark Orfe, and then the entire new Texas secondary coaches, Dwayne Akina and Kenodo Hudson. But Texas did extremely well at that unofficial visit. Then when LSU offered 8 days ago, you kind of gave everybody pause. Okay, what's going to happen? And just 6 days ago, Hayward Howard talked about making an official visit to LSU June 20th. He has Texas on the 6th to 8th and Miami scheduled on 13th through 15th. So should he pick Texas today in a matter of 45 minutes-ish, will he continue the official visit process? I think that's what we're kind of waiting. That's what I'm waiting to hear is if he picks Texas, as a lot of us think is going to happen, does the process go on with him through official visits in June? We'll wait and see.
Yeah. That's a hell of a growth spurt, though, for him. It's got to.
Even if that wasn't accurate news, 5'11", 155. That's a lot of growth in a year and a half, 2 year period of time.
That's a lot of growth. And so he still might be kind of growing into that body, that new frame that he has. A little over 6'2". I know on his Twitter profile, on his social media profile, I think he says 6'3". Right. But we all know.
You know what that means, 6'2", because I'm 6'1" on my Twitter profile, and I'm 5'11" and 7'8".
It's like everybody on their dating profiles. Yeah. Everybody's lying a little bit. And I always say men lie up. So in a man, he's going to increase whatever he's lying about. Yes. He's going to increase his height. He's going to increase the amount, his bench press. He's going to lie up about it. Women, they lie down. They lie about, their age. They're going to decrease it a little bit. How many guys they've been with, decrease that a little bit. That's just the way it goes. You ask a guy how many women he been with, he'll be like, oh, yeah, it's about this number. And it's like, man, that's a lot. But men are usually, they're lying up. That's all. Nothing wrong with that. It's okay. A couple of inches, everybody knows, hey, man, that could be a big deal. Trust me, I was drafted 2 rounds later than I probably should have because of a couple of inches. All right. So CB says, I was 6'2" and Austin 6 foot in Washington. No, when I went to the combine, CB, I remember I think it was the Minnesota Vikings that asked me, why did I lie about my height? Because Mac and John Bianca had me listed Jeff at 5'11". I was all in that whatever those media guides, and then comes out at the combine like 5'8 3/4, something like that, a little under 5'9". They were not pleased. I said I didn't lie about that. Nobody's ever asked me what my height is and didn't put that in the media guide.
See, and you're too young to go. You're too young to answer the question really quick wit at that point. Say, I've got osteopenia. Is that going to hurt my draft status?
Seriously. Hey, I need that Kyler Murray. Whatever Kyler Murray did. Remember, he grew like 1.5 inches, something like that.
He went to a hand masseuse to stretch out the hands too. Him and Jared Goff, man, and it worked. Apparently, who knew they could massage an extra 1/4 inch or out of your hands?
Man, massaging an extra 1/4 inch. I can have a lot of jokes for that, but I'm not going to leave it alone. It's Friday. We're going to try to keep it decent here on the show. All right. We got a couple of super chats and questions early on. We will get into possible, the conversation happening about expanding the college football playoff. That conversation is being had. We'll talk a little bit about, the Bill Belichick controversy with Jordan Hudson and his his girlfriend / publicist, whatever she is.
Whatever.
Yeah, that was reported she was banned from the North Carolina facilities, which that report has been refuted by North Carolina. And they say she's still in charge of Belichick's brand, and Belichick, as long as he's their head coach, then she's got kind of free access, at least to control.
The question is, did Belichick try to get her banned to kind of push the relationship down the road? And then she came in and said, no, he doesn't call the shots. I do.
She calls the shots.
No. Did you not see the interview, North Carolina? I'm in control here.
Yes, she calls the shots. And that's how we know, as it's always been stated, it's still undefeated. It always has been, and it always will be. All right, that's one of the lessons of today. It's undefeated because, man, Bill Belichick, he's risking his legacy. This is like legacy stuff here, Jeff. He's risking.
Hey, Belichick's got to take a page from Tiger Woods. When Tiger Woods wanted out of is not now Vanessa Trump, the relationship before that, he said, all right, we're going on vacation, sent her to the airport. She got on a plane. He changed the locks at the house. And that was the end of that.
Belichick don't want out, Jerry. It's too good.
Right.
He don't want out. No. He likes it. He likes what's happening now. Like it, and I'm happy for him because this is probably the best he's ever had. It's the best he's ever had in his life. So good for Bill Belichick, man. I can't wait to watch it play out on the sideline. I gotta watch North Carolina football now. Because now I got to see where Jordan Hudson is.
Is she going to have a headset on during games?
Yeah, what's she going to be wearing? Come on, man. This is good drama to follow.
Like, for me, it's like the people like Michael Lombardi and like the football people in that building.
Yeah.
They're like, I didn't sign up for the circus. I just thought we were going to come here and coach some college football and maybe deal with some stuff. I didn't think we'd be, in TMZ every day.
Hey, no, but honestly, the truth is, and nobody at North Carolina will admit it, but the truth is, this is one of the best things that's happened in North Carolina football in a while, probably since Mac Brown and the greatest coach of North Carolina football in its history, because now you get a lot of what people like to refer to as free media, free publicity. When the hell else would anybody in the offseason be talking about North Carolina football? Nobody, ever. Yeah. Nobody would ever even mention it. Right now, North Carolina football is trending. I bet the ratings will be actually decent for North Carolina football games this year just because of a lot of that element too. So,
hey, and by the way, you know who doesn't mind it right now? Oh my gosh,
that's wrong, man. That's just y'all wrong for that.
Yeah. Hey, you know who loves all this right now? Hubert Davis, who's been on the hot seat. He's like,
yeah.
Hey, if y'all don't worry about my roster. What are y'all thinking about this Belichick Hudson? He's saying everywhere on campus. Don't worry about rosters. Could be all right. What are we thinking over here? Right?
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. All right, let's get down to. I got a couple of questions for you guys to start off the conversation today, and then we'll dive into some of the other topics that are big headlines in the sports world, but also related here close to home for the Longhorns. How about this super chat from Slick Rick? Slick Rick, we appreciate your super chat. Thank you for it. Says, Rod, can we change the name to Babers Papers Sunday School? And Jerry, happy early birthday, buddy. Hold on, when is your birthday, Jerry?
I turn 30th for the 20th time tomorrow. I turn 30 for the 20th time tomorrow.
Oh, well, happy early birthday, brother. That's good. CV says, happy birthday. Trey Wisner, Jelani McDonald, happy early birthday, Jerry. Oh, I didn't realize Trey Wisner and Jelani McDonald were having a birthday today.
I didn't know they had the same birthday. Maybe Bennett said that last year. He's the birthday guy on social media.
Yes.
He's the best birthday guy out there. I forgot. I think he said that a year ago. They have the same birthday, which is crazy. They're on the same high school team together too. Well, until Wisner moved. If
CB publishes that, then it's gospel, no doubt about it. Let me ask you this though. So we'll talk about Trey Wisner. Is everybody kind of disrespecting Trey Wisner? Because a lot of people you talk to, Longhorn fans are like, no, CJ Baxter's running back one. He's just waiting on him to get back. He's just holding the seat. He's keeping it warm for CJ Baxter. So CJ Baxter's ready to go. I looked on a 2026 Pro Football Focus big board where they look at possible draft prospects for the 2026 draft. And when I looked at under Longhorns, there was no Trey Wisner, which, hey, it's a running back position. I get it. But are we undervaluing and overlooking Trey Wisner considering 1,000-yard back last season? And even a lot of Longhorn fans are looking at it as, oh, well, he'll be fine until CJ Baxter gets right. And then, it's going to be CJ Baxter's. He'll be the featured back in the backfield, which actually I don't disagree with. I'm not saying I disagree with that, by the way. But I'm just saying, are we disrespecting the contributions of Trey Wisner? And I'll throw it to you first, Jeff. Are we kind of undervaluing what his contributions are going to be this season for the Texas Longhorns?
I think back to to when you played on the 40 acres, Rod, and everybody looked at, what can Chris Robertson do? What can Kenny Hyder do? And Ivan Williams and Victor Ike. And people were waiting, like, who's going to be the next breakout running back for Texas? Well, all along, Hodges Mitchell had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons and was terribly underrated. Now, it doesn't help that he was caught between Ricky Williams and Cedric Benson, so his career happened kind of at a time. But the disrespect toward Trey Wisner is very similar to me as the disrespect to Hodges Mitchell, that Hodges Mitchell had today. And look, maybe it's one of those deals where you look at where Trey Wisner's career is falling. He's coming behind, Bijan Robinson and Jonathan Brooks, and maybe there's going to be another wave of running backs behind him. I don't know, but see, everybody is very quick to dismiss. I don't care how many games, how long your season is. If you go through an SEC season and you end up rushing for 1,000 yards, you had a hell of a year, and you're a proven commodity at running back. So that's not something I can discard. Will Trey Wisner have another 1,000-yard season? I don't know. That remains to be seen, but I can't – the disrespect and just the lack of appreciation for what he did continues to – it just boggles the mind.
Well, so he's the returning leading rusher in the SEC.
Exactly.
So Jalen Sampson's gone. Jarquez Hunter's gone. NFL draft picks. Jaquindon Jackson gone. Nate Noel gone. Rocket Sanders gone. He is the leading returning rusher in the SEC. So let's see where his respect or lack thereof is. If SEC media days roll around, he should realistically be a first-team All-SEC running back preseason.
Oh, that'll be good. That's a good point.
Let's see if he gets that, because here's the thing. If you listen to Tashard Choice, and I'm not saying don't listen to Chad Scott, it's just Tashard Choice has recruited him and watched him grow up at Texas. Right before the Arizona State game, Jeff, you were there. He said he'll gain 8 to 10 pounds next year, junior year, and be off to the NFL with another good year. That was his prediction that day. He said it. CJ had the audio of it.
Wow.
So I think that's where he's tracking. And look, he's the leading returning rusher in the SEC. That matters in this conference.
Yes.
Especially considering he wasn't the starter at the start of the season and was kind of sharing carries. And, by the way, missed a game. He missed a game. So
it's a good point.
The answer's yes. The answer's yes, Rod. Probably for all of us in the SEC.
Jerry, you're right, though. I can't wait to see the preseason teams. The preseason selection, they'll ultimately say if everybody is overlooking, underappreciating, to Jeff's point, or undervaluing Trey Wisner. This is boy Wonder. Do you think analysts feel his production was a product of a Moore Award finalist O-line, a Joe Moore Award finalist O-line, which, that O-line was one of the best in the country. Obviously, you can tell by the draft picks. Had 3 guys drafted off of that O-line. But I'll say this, they weren't a dominant run blocking O-line.
Right. Especially on the interior.
Yeah. So, we saw that, obviously. This thing about Trey Wisner that made it his 1,000-yard season so remarkable. He didn't really become the featured back until Oklahoma game somewhere around there. And then there were 3 games after that where he was just stoned. The running game period was stonewalled. Yeah. Right? It was just Georgia a couple of times, Arizona State, Ohio State. So a lot of his production just came in, honestly, 5 games where he just went off. Right? He had big runs. So can you get in the run game period? And that may be so. Texas boy wonder. I think Trey Wisner, the O-line did not necessarily impress me as a dominant run blocking O-line. Oh yeah, thank you. There you go. Thank you for that, Matthew. Because he kind of got in his groove late. Yeah, you see that OU game, and then there were some games where the running game was just shut down. He didn't get much at all.
Right.
So that Kentucky game went off in Oklahoma game. Went off in the A&M game. That made him a legend. That made him a legend.
Yes. You know what's crazy though? And then the A&M game, 33 for 186. But you know what's crazy though? His output and he got dinged against Florida. His output against Georgia, considering it wasn't even that bad. And I know people are like, what are you talking about? I'm just saying, look, for how the struggles that Texas had against blocking Georgia up front, the down the distances they were in, he actually, that first game, 15 for 52, obviously the drop pass, or what some people remember. Second, 19 for 51, 3 catches, 15 yards. No, he didn't rush it for big numbers, but that's the game that and the A&M games where he proved his toughness to me, because it's hard to run against Georgia, especially for Texas in their scheme, and especially because you don't have QB run threat. He showed some real toughness against Georgia, if you ask me.
Yeah.
The other thing with him, I look at a guy that since he played his first snap, everything they've asked him to do, he's done it balls to the walls, given a max effort, and I don't expect that to change. I mean, the way he was breaking tackles toward the end of that A&M game, it was the same tenacity he had when he was covering kickoffs as a true freshman. So I have no reason to believe that the attention to detail, the sense of urgency, it's going to continue to be there from Trey Wisner. And if we see a bigger, stronger, faster version of Trey Wisner in 2025, I'm not worried about the running back position. It's a good thing because, it's a long season. You're going to need all those guys to contribute. If he shows in camp that he's still very much a number one running back, first team SEC caliber running back, then you don't have to rush CJ Baxter back. You don't need CJ Baxter against Ohio State. You can let him get his feet back under him, and then maybe by the Florida game, when he's got a little lather, now maybe you can really start to work him back into the mix. So it's not a bad thing if CJ Baxter's not ready to go by the time the Ohio State game rolls around.
Yeah, I wouldn't rush CJ Baxter back. That Jonathan Brooks injury got me freaked out about running backs and injuries. Yeah. I wouldn't rush him back at all at this point. But if he's ready to go, I do. I mean, Sark said everything's on track. So hopefully for CJ Baxter, he's back sooner rather than later, but I just wouldn't rush it. All right, let's thank our first sponsor of the evening. Thank our friends over at Vaughn Lane. That's right, folks. Vaughn Lane is the only way to travel between major Texas cities. You got to get to Houston, Dallas, DFW, San Antonio, Austin. Folks, we all know it's a bit of a toss-up, right? You deal with the airport chaos. Hope your flight isn't delayed and deal with the overpriced items in an airport. Or do you deal with, the road and traveling on the road, dealing with traffic and road rage and just losing an entire day of productivity making that drive? Well, the third option is the best option, folks, and that's Vaughn Lane. I've taken it several times to DFW for business. I've taken it to Houston to visit family. My wife has taken it several times. We love the Vaughn Lane, and you will too. You arrive at a luxury hotel terminal, no TSA lines, no long-term parking lots, just a seamless boarding experience that takes minutes, not hours. You settle into a plush leather seat, a hot towel, pillow, and blanket are at arm's reach. The attendant offers complimentary snacks, beverages, and on select departures, you'll actually have meal service as well. If you need to relax, you can lean back and enjoy the ride. If you want to stay productive, there's high-speed Wi-Fi and power at every seat. And while you're unplugging or powering through, the Vaughn Lane team is monitoring traffic in real time using smarter routes and efficient detours to keep your trip smooth and on schedule. And now is the perfect time for you to book your fall travel. Booking is open through September. So whether you're headed to a college football game, which I know a lot of you will be, or if you're planning a weekend getaway with your significant other, or a business trip that needs to be done right, Vaughn Lane makes the journey part of the reward. Vaughn Lane serves Austin, Dallas, Houston, DFW, San Antonio, and in the Southeast, Atlanta, Nashville, and Memphis. So visit VaughnLane.com. That's VONLANE.com. And use the code OTF25 to save $20 off your first ride with Vaughn Lane. Vaughn Lane, elevated regional bus transportation. And we appreciate Vaughn Lane for being a sponsor here of On Texas Football and sponsoring our Friday live stream. All right, let's get to some of the questions. I know you guys got a bunch of them. We'll try to hit as many of them as we can before we get done today. How about this one from LL? Jerry, who do you prefer between Jabari Mack and Aaron Gregory?
Great question. Different receivers. I think Jabari Mack can play some slot and he can play outside. But look, I think Aaron Gregory is a tremendous football prospect. 6'2", 6'2 and a half. Great. He's a fast starter. He's a really good, I almost use the term great, and I hate to do that. tremendous double move receiver. He tracks the ball over the shoulder really well. He adjusts to the ball, the 50-50 ball. He's got really good body control. I think he has a way of setting that up to a feel for it, almost a basketball feel for when to go grab a rebound without letting your opponent know the ball's in the air. I don't think he gives it away with his eyes. I think Aaron Gregory's really good, man. And you stick him out, you watch tape of him at safety or DB, the ball skills, everything translates. I think Aaron Gregory has about as much upside as any of the receivers that Texas is recruiting. So, but Jabari Mack, I think, has real explosivity, short space, first 20 yards. So they're a little bit different. If you said I could only have one, I'd probably slightly lean Aaron Gregory.
Okay.
And now, by the way, Aaron Gregory's an A&M commitment, scheduled to visit A&M officially June 6th through 8th, Texas the 13th through 15th. Jabari Mack, an LSU commitment, has been on campus since his LSU commitment in March. He's scheduled to come back June 13th, 15th for an official visit, and then we'll go to LSU on the 20th through 22nd. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I think Chris Jackson, Texas coaches are on the road. I think he's scheduled to be out in those areas next week. Jabari Mack has a spring game next Wednesday against Edna Carr, same school as Hayward Howard Jr. So those guys will be matching up next week. And then I think Chris Jackson will be out at Douglasville, Douglas County to see Aaron Gregory next week as well.
Flipping Aaron Gregory, Jerry, also means you take from the Aggies to make your football team better. So that's the trump card.
No doubt. Yes. The chat's probably like A&M all day on that one. Yeah, Aaron Gregory all day on that one.
Yeah, anytime you can, Aggie tears. The Longhorns love to drink Aggie tears. Brings them joy. But anytime you can take something from your rival, all right, and add to your team, I mean, that's all that much sweeter.
Hey, Rod, I got a question for you.
Because
it came up this morning, we haven't addressed it. Do you prefer, as a former player, what day did you prefer the A&M Texas game on? Because now it's moved to Friday. We can talk about that's great for TV, night game on Friday. That's great for TV. I know Bobby said this morning, some people are like, well, TV ratings aren't that high on Friday. I think they will be for this game. Saturdays, you're sharing games with everybody.
Yeah.
And Friday, Georgia Tech will be earlier in the day, and then A&M Texas will be after that. But as a player, you miss one extra day of rest, and then it's the Thursday as Thanksgiving, obviously playing Friday. What from a player perspective, did you have a preference?
No, I mean, as a player, you can adjust. I mean,
you're up for that game anyways, right?
I mean, that's a big game. So short week. I mean, end of the season, everybody's a little banged up. I don't think it matters, in my opinion, mindset wise, it didn't matter that much. As someone on the outside looking in now of that rivalry, I think ultimately what you have to get back to is it being a national rivalry. It still to me isn't that just yet. Yes. And I hate to blame the Aggies for this, but I think the Aggies aren't keeping up their end of the bargain here to make it a national rivalry. And that's what happened to it. When I was playing in it, I mean, the Aggies were still, a team that was winning conference championship. They won one in 98. I came in 99. All right. They were still the wrecking crew. So at that time, it was still kind of a national rivalry, even though Oklahoma, once Bob Stoops won the national title in his second year in 2000, that rivalry, it really supercharged it. And then it was no question. It was the rivalry that Mac was focused on. Right? I remember Mac he was talking about A&M, he was talking about Oklahoma. He was like, we got to beat A&M and we got to beat Oklahoma. He was saying both at the same time. By the time Bob Stoops helped Oklahoma win their national title in his second year in 2000, there was a de-emphasis on A&M. It was like, nah, man, we got to catch them. That's who we're after. And that really changed the mindset, I think, of Texas. But Texas still, of course, considered, A&M a hated rival and still prioritized, but they just weren't the rival. And that has really transformed the typography, if you will, of the rivalry since, right? Because they believe they're not Texas' main rival and they know it. And that's really part of the insecurity of the Aggies and always has been since then in the last couple of decades, that the real rival of Texas, Oklahoma, and you are the side piece. And they don't want to be the side piece. And they shouldn't be. I think I respect the Aggies enough to believe they are a program worthy of having their own rival, their own true hated rival. But nobody wants the Aggies as a rival in that sense. LSU don't want to claim them. And yeah, exactly. Nobody else wants to really claim an Aggie and rivalry with the Aggies. And I don't know why that's a deeper conversation. But in terms of their relationship with Texas, the Aggies got to get back to being nationally respected, and then that rivalry, it will get juiced. I mean, that rivalry, it'll just grow and it'll become, I think, a rivalry that is worthy of, like you said, getting big time ratings on its own day. But until then, I will admit right now, if the Aggies aren't good next year, if they got 3 losses before that game, I don't know if people will care that much. Texas will be in a national championship conversation. Last year they weren't. Last year was a big game, and I think the world was watching. You want to replicate that year after year, it has to be nationally relevant.
Yeah.
That's why people love you, because there's usually a championship spot on the line, at least if not literally, then figuratively, you're out of the discussion when you lose that game. And so I think that's what I want Texas A&M to be. I've always, I'm not a hater of Texas A&M, but I do think they got to get back to keeping up their end of the bargain, so that rivalry, once Texas and Texas A&M are meeting, if both are on the verge of double-digit wins, guys, they've had double-digit wins only once in the history of both programs at the same time. In the same season, Texas and Texas A&M have only won double-digit games once at the same time. It doesn't happen. If they get to that point where both are really good, then that rivalry will be great. Right now, it's a good rivalry. It's not a great rivalry. That's what's keeping
right. No. I mean, when you talk about Michigan, Ohio State, even A&M wants to be Auburn, but they haven't become Auburn to Alabama's Auburn, right? Auburn won a national championship, played for another national championship, had some really good, probably the most underrated program out there as far as the last 20 years of college football, because most people would rank it lower than it probably is in terms of wins and meaningful wins and what you really have accomplished. I mean, Auburn's got the same amount of national titles as you name them, and more than some, right, with their one. And then they lost the second go round when they got there. But that's the thing, is A&M hasn't won enough at a high enough level to make the rivalry even Auburn or Alabama. I mean, and there hasn't, and because they haven't played in such a long time, it gave way to let other rivalries build and surpass it.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn, Alabama, even though the Iron Bowl's always been a great rivalry under Saban, and then Auburn, obviously kick 6, Cam Newton. There's some unbelievable games, totally eclipsed anything. A&M and Texas have a long way to go to get to there now, but A&M's got to come up. They got to hold their end up of the bargain. And like you said, Rod, they need to have a couple of meaningful seasons for it to really become what it can be.
Yeah, you're right, Jerry. Like, we live in I'll call it the Big 12 South bubble that we live in, because to us, the A&M game and the OU game will always be big deals. But why does the country look at Texas OU differently? It's because throughout the history of the rivalry, when you look at the 3 big rivals Texas has, there have been times where the Arkansas game has had major stakes on it. And there have been times where the A&M game has had major stakes on it. But in terms of a nationally relevant rivalry, deciding who wins a conference, who plays for a national championship, the times Texas and OU have had top 5, top 10 matchups, the winner wins a national championship, the winner wins a conference, whatever it is, those times far outweigh whenever Texas has had that with Arkansas and when Texas had that with A&M. Like Rod laid it out, it's the same thing with Arkansas, whether anybody realizes or not. Like, if you look at the times where Texas and Arkansas played each other yearly and they were both like top 10 teams or ended up being double-digit win teams, it didn't happen as often as you think it did.
Yeah, and Rod, to your point, why does nobody want to have A&M as a rival, really? They haven't accomplished enough. Like, LSU says, what have y'all done, man?
Yeah.
Every coach that's been here's won a national title. Then the last 3, now we'll see what Brian Kelly does. I mean, so it's like anywhere A&M's looking, A&M's got to accomplish something for them. It doesn't just become a rivalry in today's day and age. You got to accomplish something to make those rivalries. And, A&M for years was trying to push the LSU thing in the SEC, but LSU's won national championships. It was Nick Saban was their guy. That was their rival. It was Alabama, because every time they played, it was huge stakes were on the line. A&M's got to create that on their end to become real rivals with people.
No, it's not the perception. When you see a couple and one of them is way out of the other one's league and you go, why the hell did they end up together? That's what happens when there are rivals that are out of each other's league. If you have a rival, you really want them to be in your league. Right? He's like, nah, we're a championship caliber program every year in and year out. Oklahoma, Texas, that Auburn is not Bama, but at least Auburn's won national titles. Right.
Yeah, Rod, think about when you were coming out of high school. You loved FSU. You wanted to watch the FSU Florida game every year because the winner was probably going to the national championship or going to have a chance to play for it, right? Just like Oklahoma, Nebraska in the Big 8 days, right? Then it got to be Miami, Florida State. And sorry, Rod, as a childhood, all the missed kicks by FSU. But, I mean, if you look around the rivalries that created and Ohio State, Michigan now, I mean, look how far Michigan went to win the rivalry.
Damn right. Yeah,
they created the best scouting department in the history of college football to win a rivalry game. But those games have always had something on the line, and that's the big difference.
Unless you're in the bubble, that's what you need. Like, to me, growing up, I was thinking about. I can remember times when I was a kid where either one would be before or after, but I remember that Friday being reserved for one of the games you'd get would be Texas A&M. The other would be Colorado, Nebraska. And there was like a decade stretch where when Bill McCartney had it rolling at Colorado and Tom Osborne was winning championships at Nebraska, that was it wasn't quite, Florida State, Florida or Florida State, Miami, but it was like right there where you're going to see a game that's got stakes and there's going to be a lot of NFL talent on the field. Like, unless you're in the bubble, that's the kind of stuff you want to see.
By the way, we haven't talked about this on any show this week, unless y'all did on the winning drive. I've been on the road, so I may have missed it. How about the USC AD kind of halfway talking about ending the Notre Dame game?
That's crazy.
That would like kind of makes me mad because, dude, that is one of the games that every year when you look at a college football schedule, you kind of like, I don't know if I can watch all of it, but I want to watch some of it.
Yeah,
because there's two of the great programs. All right, at USCA, don't be taking this game away from us, man. We're college football in a really good spot.
And what's the reason for the threat?
Travel, Big Ten, blah 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 blah.
Okay. See, he's using it for a negotiating tool. We just don't know what he's negotiating.
Probably.
When Brian Kelly was still at Notre Dame, Jerry, he had the deal where they got rid of the Michigan game. And that, to me, I was like, I loved that game when I was a kid because, like you said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch the whole thing, but I got to pay attention to what happens there. And I don't know, like maybe this is just trying to get Notre Dame into a conference finally. I don't know. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But, Notre Dame doesn't play Michigan State anymore. They don't play Michigan anymore. Man, if they lose that USC game, you can only play Stanford in the service academy so much to keep yourself relevant.
That's a good point. All right, before we hit more questions here, let's thank another one of our sponsors, our friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery. Before we move on, did you know the most awarded wine in Texas is actually the vineyard closest to Austin? That's right, folks. Flat Creek Estate Winery, just minutes from downtown Austin, and they've won award after award for their vintage wine, Super Texan. I'm a big fan of it. I've told you guys my wife is a big fan of Super Texan. We might actually have some in there on the counter right now. A member of the All Texas football family came up to me during the Fan Fest to tell me how much they love Super Texan and thank me for the recommendation. So don't thank me. Thank our friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery for producing some of the best premium wines on the market. Also, Super Texan is available at your local Specs. I saw a display at our local Central Market here in Austin. So indeed, the good word is getting out about Flat Creek Estate Winery. Also, Flat Creek not only producing some of the best wines that you'll ever taste, but it's also a gorgeous vineyard and wine tastings every single weekend. It's perfect for a day date with your significant other or a weekend getaway with your significant other. That's Flat Creek Estate Winery, flatcreekestate.com. I really appreciate them for sponsoring our Friday live stream. All right, let's hit some questions here. David Keith Williams always has good stuff. DKW says, Mayo Hamilton, I asked this question earlier today, but how would you compare Hayward Howard to Aiden Anding? What do you think is better? I personally think Anding is considerably better. Thank you, David Williams. This is good.
I haven't seen
Anding, I don't think.
I love Aiden Anding.
Okay.
I think Aiden Anding is a future NFL guy. I actually ran into it. I was at Mandarin High School yesterday watching Brody Jennings, the 2026 Michigan corner commit who Texas is still talking to. I think they're going to go see him maybe next week. And obviously a teammate and friend to Jamie French. And there's a freshman receiver at Mandarin, guys, that's like 6'3", 205. He's got a real chance now. But the DB coach, one of the DB coaches that was involved in Aiden Anding's recruitment was there, and I'm not going to name who it was. And I said, hey, what do you think Aiden Anding truly coming out of high school? He said, I thought that kid could be a first or second round pick. And I said, wow. I'm glad you said that. I mean, Aiden Anding, Rod, I know you watch Anding. Anding was terrific because in the return game, he had the ball skills. So we'll see where it goes for him at LSU. By the way, that same person, that same coach that was involved in his recruitment said he was 100% going to Arkansas over Texas if LSU hadn't offered. He said 100% it was done. So just for those that it's fun to talk to college coaches who are involved in the recruitment after it's over to see if it's a little different than kind of what you might have even thought or if their thoughts were as different. But Hayward Howard Jr., by the way, we're waiting on his commitment, which could come in the next 10 minutes, around 2 o'clock, which in recruiting terms may mean 2:20. Who knows, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But Rod, I know you watch Hayward Howard a little bit too, kind of, before as we preview his decision, kind of what were your thoughts on Hayward Howard watching him?
He strikes me. He's the kind of athlete the Longhorns want to recruit for what I think where they want to evolve the defense, right? They want to play more man coverage. I believe they want to play more press man coverage as well last year, even though they're one of the best defense in the country. You're talking about 117th in press man coverage rates. They were 113th in the country in man coverage rate overall. And I think getting a guy like, Howard, who was 6'2", long frame, he got height on him. I seen him play some snaps of press, hands on guys. So in man coverage, I like his hands and I like his feet in man coverage. For a big guy, usually 6'2", growing on 6'3", potentially. Usually they don't have great feet and they don't have loose hips. Right. He actually has loose hips and really good feet for a taller corner. Taller corners usually make up for the lack of fluidity in their hips and the lack of proficient footwork with their size and range, right? Getting their hands on guys, being physical at the catch point. He's got all that for a big corner, but he's also got really loose hips and feet, gets out of his breaks really well for a bigger corner. So I think he's where Texas wants to go with a guy that can play press if they need him to, got really good feet and really good hands to get his hands on guys in press man coverage, but really good eyes in zone coverage. You'll see here too is a couple of examples of it. In zone coverage, your eyes, disciplined eyes are so important, going from key to key and making sure that you're disciplined about reading your keys, not getting lost and focusing on, just one key or just a quarterback or just a number 2 receiver. No, you're going to be going from the quarterback to number 1, back to number 2. And there are certain keys, just like a progression of a quarterback, you're supposed to go through as a DB that leads back to the football. And your feet go where your eyes go. And a lot of times he's in the right place because he's got really good eyes and zone cover. Look at him press and pin. Look at that. He reroutes wide receivers. A lot of times guys go up and play press and they're so athletic in high school. They'll just go up there and they'll just have a track meet. They'll just go up there and shadow the guy. He doesn't shadow. He's trying to get his hands on wide receivers and reroute them. That's what I like about his game.
Rod, the other thing I think he does well, he uses his length at the right time with timing, right? He does it on the PBUs. Obviously, it's a highlight tape, but you still can tell how if a guy understands how to use his length and how to use that to his advantage. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a guy who truly shows on tape that he has a really good feel for using his length with the correct timing in a play sequence. That's one of the things I like about him as a young player. Again, we're waiting on his announcement, which could come in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's supposed to be around 2 p.m. Central Time.
Yeah. I'll add this, Jerry, just on Howard, and he's one of 2 prospects that we talked to throughout when they're coming out of Moncrief, they're leaving to go home. He and Trey Quinn, I think we're the 2 out-of-state kids that most kids are going to try to be somewhat measured immediately coming out of the facility. Those 2 kids couldn't hide it. Like they were blown away by what they saw at Texas. The families were blown away by what they saw at Texas. And we'll find out with his decision here. And, like you said, anywhere from the next 5 to 10 minutes, but Texas made a strong impression. And I mean, with Trey Quinn, Jerry's another one of those guys we talked about that Texas made up a lot of ground with on that unofficial visit last month. Yeah,
no doubt. And there's some people that I've talked to think Texas could be the leader for Trey Quinn. I'm going to chill on that a little bit through these June officials because, I mean, if you've looked at that official visit list, this recruitment is a big boy battle. It's Georgia, it's Clemson, it's Auburn. I mean, it's Florida and Texas. I mean, so I don't want to – I think there's some guys that are leaning to Texas, maybe at home sitting at the couch talking to mom and dad right now. I think there's a few guys leaning to Texas. Look, I just saw one, Hezzy Kent, that I walked away in Brunswick and said, I think that kid in his mind may be leaning to Texas, but let's get through this visit process and see where things are at the end of the day. Texas has a few of those guys like that because, Jeff, I got the same impression from Hezzy Kent that you guys got from Drake Quinn. I think he really likes Texas. Does that mean he's going to end up at Texas? I'm going to chill a little bit. Let's see what happens these first couple of June official visits. But he had an in-home visit with Hezzy Kent had an in-home visit with Jeff Banks last night.
Seeing kids like Hayward Howard and Drake Quinn and Hezzy Kent, it reinforces to me that, I go back to something that Ron Meyer said. If anybody watched that Pony Excess 30 for 30, there's a lot of things you could take away from it. But Ron Meyer talked about when he got to SMU, he said, we weren't looking for guys that could just play on Saturday. We wanted guys that we could foresee 4 or 5 years down the road, could he be in the NFL? This staff is not messing around. They're recruiting guys where you could honestly look at the traits. You look at the physical traits and you can see the upside and be like, I could see that guy playing in the NFL at some point. That hadn't always been the case at Texas, but now that Texas is able to go into the Southeast, and as Sark said at the Touchdown Club luncheon, kids in that part of the country have a reason to want to come to Texas now because Texas is in the SEC. Texas is recruiting guys that have really, really high NFL upsides, and like I said, that hadn't always been the case. Yeah,
and look, his offer list expanded from a few to Florida, Florida State, Auburn, Texas, Miami. Late in his junior season, they made that run, 14-0, won state, and I believe 5A classification. Louisiana smoked Alexandria in the state title game. And then people continue to offer. Most recent offer, a USC. Then it was LSU in early May. So, again, leading into this decision, we think it will be Texas, but we wait for the kid to announce. The question around this recruitment will be, he has 3 official visits scheduled. Texas, June 6th through 8th, Miami the 13th through 15th, and LSU the 20th through 22nd. So if he announces for Texas coming up, very shortly, by the way, he's a DB MVP of the Under Armour camp in New Orleans, which is nothing to sneeze at, by the way, then will he continue on with the visit process?
Okay. Good stuff, guys. So, in minutes, we are expecting the announcement, the commitment of Hayward Howard Jr. So we'll keep you guys updated with that. Let's hit a couple of super chats here. Corey J. Thank you, Corey J, for the super chat. We appreciate it. If Arch wins the Heisman, does that mean Texas went 13-0 and won the SEC? Also, who would be our 5 starting DBs? Personally excited about Kobe Black. Curious to see if D. Will can play star. Thank you for that, Corey J. 2 separate topics here. I'll throw out to you guys the first question about Arch, and then I'll address the DBs when you guys get done.
Jeff, I don't think it means 13-0. If he did the unimaginable, which I think is unimaginable right now, just because he started 2 games at Texas, and won the Heisman. Look, he could have a great game in losing a nail biter at Ohio State and go on and win the Heisman.
Yeah,
right. He could have a great game at Georgia or Florida in a loss and go on and win the Heisman. So I don't think it has to be undefeated. But I will say this: you aren't going to be any worse than 10-2 or 11-1 in him win that award.
You're not going to lose the go down to Starkville like, oh my gosh, how did they lose to Mississippi State? Or, go to Lexington like, oh my gosh, how did they lose to Kentucky? If Arch is playing at that level. And I'm with you, Jerry. I mean, I look no further than, 2 Texas undefeated regular seasons, VY in 05 and Colt in 09. They led teams to undefeated seasons going into bowl games, and they didn't win the Heisman because VY didn't have a great game in the last game against A&M. And Ndamukong Suh damn near crushed Texas national title dreams in the Big 12 championship game. So I don't think necessarily one is directly related to the other. Like you said, Jerry, that was my initial thought. Like Arch could go throw for 300 plus yards and 4 touchdowns, and Texas loses a ball game in Athens. Is that gonna be held against Arch? It'd be stupid to hold that against him if he's that good. So as far as the starting DBs go, my only comment on that, Corey J, is I don't think you need Derek Williams to play star because you've got the flexibility to put Jelani McDonald there. Jalen Gilbo's played there. Wardell Mack had a good spring. So I'm not going to say it would be overkill for Derek Williams to be at the star position, but I don't think you really need it.
I remember watching Derek Williams' film initially. I think when he first committed, and I remember saying he could play nickel, like he could if you need him to play nickel. Now I agree with Jeff. You don't necessarily need that because you do have options at nickel because you've been cross-training a lot of guys. The issue with the secondary is, in terms of the starting five, like I look at DBs they trust, right? Who do they trust? Who's already earned the trust of the coaches that we know? Well, we know Taff has earned the trust of the coaches. We know Malik Muhammad has earned the trust of the coaches. Jalen Gilbo is going to be out there in that secondary. And then you start throwing out Jelani McDonald. I think he's in that conversation now of earning the trust of the coaches. And I think Derek Williams already, but his injury, all right, may affect his timeline. But I think he's one of those guys too. That's 5 guys. That's good. It's like, oh, man, we got 5-star DBs. Well, 3 of those guys are safeties. You do have Gilbert that can play nickel and play corner. And then you got Muhammad that can play corner. So essentially, you're waiting to see. You say you like Kobe Black. Here, Corey J. But if Kobe Black emerges and starts to separate, then it's easy, right? Kobe Black's a corner, Muhammad's a corner, Gilbo's a nickel, and then you can kind of plug in, rotate your 3 starting safeties, you believe, right? And even move Jelani McDonald there when you got your big nickel. If one of those corners, whether it be Kobe Black or Cade Phillips or Warren Roberson, if they do not separate, there's your issue. The easy solution is, one of the corners steps up, earns trust of the coaches, boom, we got our starting secondary. If they don't, then you think about moving Gilbo out because he's already a guy that's earned trust. You move him out the corner, you got Muhammad at corner, and then you got Taff at safety, and then you could put Derek Williams at safety too, and then potentially have McDonald playing your nickel, or it depends on what you want to do, and their opponent you're facing. So I think it could, the secondary, although you have pieces you trust, I think, and Jeff has pointed this out actually, so I'll give Jeff credit, it could evolve throughout the season. Remember Malik Muhammad earned his starting job like late in that season a couple of years ago, and he became like your starter. You may have one of those moves from something late in the season, right? Is Warren Roberson for real? If he is, that's awesome too. Because if he's the real deal, then I think you got a lot of options. Or is he a spring fling? A lot of these guys are.
Speaking of DBs,
boom, boom, who goes boom? Broad, you've never done a boom, boom,
boom,
boom.
I like it. No, I don't like it. I love it actually, because to me it confirms where the defense is going. I've been trying to predict where the defense is going for a while. Recruiting guys like this, you're going to play more man coverage and more press man in the future of Texas football, and that's why the secondary is starting to look different. But congratulations to Hayward Howard Jr., by the way. And
if you need your video, if you need your Bobby Boom, we have the commitment video that's up here on the On Texas Football YouTube. Bobby and I give some thoughts. Rod Babers broke down his game on that video as well. So if you want to watch that after we end this broadcast, it's on the On Texas Football YouTube channel.
That was fast. He didn't even, so it wasn't a lot of, build.
No, 2:04. I mean, 4 minutes after 2. That's really quick. That's on time in the recruiting world.
I like this man.
That's Lombardi. That's 15 minutes early in the recruiting.
This isn't one, Jerry, where like the superintendent gives up and gives a 10-minute speech and then the AD goes for 20 minutes.
Yes, I hate those. It's like, we didn't come in to see y'all. What are y'all doing?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I got bad news for Joshy Manning. No more 4th of July commitments. There's a few kids already saying July 4th. They Jalen Lott's one of them. John Turntine's possibly another one. There's going to be a few July 4ths. Everybody
want to make us work on July 4th.
But here's the thing. Joe Z's still in the chat. If it's a baby reveal commitment, a gender reveal commitment, he's gonna lose his mind because he thinks it's not going to go good for Texas. If it's a gender reveal commitment type of deal, Joe Z said that's never good for Texas.
I don't want to see that either, actually. All right, well, congratulations to Hayward Howard Jr. That's a fantastic news, and like I said, that video about his commitment and breaking down his video and breaking down his the eval that we did, that's already up. That's going to be posted here momentarily. All right, let's get back to
real quick. I agree with you on where the defense is going. And Hayward Howard's the latest sign of that.
Yeah.
Am I thinking too too micro here when I think if you're going to win the SEC and you're going to win a national championship, you're going to need to try to develop like an elite man-to-man cover corner, like a legit shutdown corner, because you're going to have to get through a Ryan Williams, a Jeremiah Smith, somebody like that. There's going to be one of those guys that you can't just say, hey, we'll just roll coverage of that side of the field and be all right. No, you're going to have times where that guy's on an island with somebody, and you better have somebody that can go.
Yeah, and it's more about, to your point, Jeff, when you face those type of teams that have a well-balanced receiving core, right? They got the elite guy that's going to go in the first round. Then they got the other guys up and coming that also going to be future first rounders or future early round picks. That's what Ohio State offers, right? Yeah. That's what Bama's got the chance to offer. That's what Sark has been doing that. So I think you're right. I think the deeper you want to go into these college football playoffs, that's what Texas is. That's what they have their eyes set on, and they should have their eyes set to those expectations. You're gonna have to be able to beat man-to-man coverage. All right. And you're going to be able to play man-to-man coverage.
Yep.
Period. And I think Sark figured it out too when he started facing, the Ohio States of the world. They played more man-to-man coverage. Even Clemson played more man-to-man coverage. Now Texas actually found ways to win against them, but the best teams in the country, which are the teams you're going to face in college football playoff, they will play more man-to-man coverage. In Texas, I think, trending toward being also one of those teams, they want to play more man-to-man coverage. And you'll say, well, why? Because the zone's working really well. Well, what happened when Cade Klubnik, a really good quarterback with some really good wide receivers, played against that Texas secondary? He actually made some plays.
That's zone if your quarterback can, extend the play long enough.
Yeah. I mean, it makes the quarterback job way easier if I know Texas never going to play man and they're never going to play press. I got it. You just made my job a whole lot easier as a quarterback. I think Texas now wants to evolve past that. So that's part of the Hayward Howard experiment as well. All right. Miracle Martinez says, happy Mother's Day weekend to Mrs. Babers. Congrats. Yes, thank you. I need to make sure I go hook up the Mother's Day gifts too. I don't know if I ain't done that yet. I look at the Mother's Day gifts. So thank you, Miracle Martinez. Appreciate that super chat as well. How about this one from James? James just delivering a compliment here. Thank you, James. Fellas, love the work you all do. And hey, thank you, James. Very kind of you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's really very kind of you. It's 420 somewhere. You're damn right it is. He says, how many receivers do Texas take this year? What is the most realistic expectation for players Texas could get? Happy Mother's Day to you all Longhorn moms out there. Hook them. Thank you.
Taking all of them.
I think the number's 3 for high school wideouts in this class. Now, it has to be 3 of the guys you really want. It's not going to be 3 just to get a number. So if they only get 2 of the guys they really like, well, that means they'll just go to the portal.
Yeah.
But I think 3 is the ideal number. But we'll see. We'll see where that goes. Obviously, Chris Stewart's committed, but will he make visits elsewhere? His brother, Carter Stewart's also a safety prospect in 26 that has official visits, I think, to Arizona State, Oklahoma, and a couple others. So there's that part of the recruitment. Then wide receiver is one of the more interesting positions for me in this 2026 cycle for Texas. One of the more unknowns right now because Jalen Lott's now being recruited as a wideout first, and he's a stud, and he's a must-get recruit in Texas's eyes, and he's a tremendous talent. Caden Finley, son of Jermichael Finley, does he just want to go do his own thing? We'll see. Texas gets the last official visit in June. I believe a July 4th commitment's on the table for Finley too, so that's another one for y'all, you guys. Then you have Jabari Matt committed to LSU. You have Aaron Gregory committed to A&M. You have Mason James from Norman North. Are you going to get somebody from Norman North High School? I mean, that kid may have to transfer as a senior if he commits to Texas. So there's a lot of unknowns at wide receiver in this class, but Texas is going to walk away with 2 or 3 good players.
All right. Thank you. It's 420 somewhere. Yeah.
I'm with Jerry. Sorry, Rod. I'm with Jerry. As long as Jalen Lott is a part of my 3, then no disrespect to the other 2, but I'm good. I'll take whatever you give me after that.
Yeah. I'm fine with him playing wide receiver too, even though, his dad was a DB. I'm a DB. I've seen him and I'm fine with just get him. As long as you get him, I don't care what he ends up playing. I just think he's one of those guys you need to get.
Yes.
All right, getting back to the questions here. Appreciate all you guys and your questions, participation. How about this one from CB? CB's got a couple here. will Arch make an SEC preseason team? This is a good question.
Yeah.
And this is where I was good because I went and looked at guys. When was the last time? Because right now I went and looked at it. Arch Manning is a Heisman. He's your Heisman favorite, tied with Nussmeier, I believe, in terms of Heisman odds. When's the last time a Heisman favorite didn't make the all SEC conference team in the preseason?
Man, look,
you got like Sellers, you got Nussmeier, you got some.
Honestly, guys, Arch shouldn't be first or second team preseason. I mean, Nussmeier and Sellers have put it on the board in a pretty
agreed.
So Arch should be honorable mention preseason and let him play his way to that point. Nussmeier threw for what, 4K last year?
Nice, real deal.
Yeah.
And Sellers is a one-man wrecking ball at times. Now, I don't know if South Carolina can put the parts around him for him to maximize what I think he can do in college football. But, I mean, look, that's I say no. I think Nuss is going to be first team, and I think Sellers is going to be second team at SEC Media Days.
Yeah, I'm with Jerry. You know, Nussmeier, people looked at the A&M game as like a detriment to him last year. To me, that was one of the games I was more impressed with him because that was probably the best game the A&M defensive line played all year.
And that guy was under duress the whole game, Jeff.
Jerry, I was going to take it a step further. He got the hell beat out of him that night in College Station and just kept coming back and coming back and coming back and standing in the pocket and trying to deliver it down the field. So I think he's tough as hell. So I'm a Garrett Nussmeier fan. Lenore Sellers, I might have sold him short with the Brad Smith comp because I think he brings a little more to the table probably than Brad Smith did at Missouri back in the day. Man, that's a lazy comp on my part. But yeah, and look, I don't think this guy would beat Arch, but there's going to be some media members that vote on that preseason SEC team. They might be inclined to give Diego Pavia some votes just because of how important he is.
I agree with that. I agree with that. It's a good point, Jeff. Yeah, that's what I say. I don't know if he's going, and then I go back to the question: when's the last time your preseason Heisman favorite didn't make a preseason all conference team? Like, I don't know if that's ever happened before. Like, I don't know if that's ever happened before. I ask a random question here since we're talking about Arch and his Heisman odds because he's right now tied for the best odds to win the Heisman in preseason. When was the last time Texas had a preseason favorite to win the Heisman?
The legit favorite?
Yeah, preseason, like the top guy.
Was it Ricky?
It's Ricky. Well, I don't know that for sure, but I believe it's Ricky because remember he was like fifth, that 97 Heisman vote, the legendary one.
Vince wasn't favored to win it going into that year.
It was like that was a McCown, I believe.
Yeah,
that was like sixth.
Josh McCown. It was Luke McCown, not Luke.
Yes. One of the McCowns.
Cade McNown's a dead man. Cade McNown. Yes.
Cade McNown. Sorry, I got my McCown. Yeah. But my point is, Ricky was like fifth in that voting behind Randy Moss and Peyton Manning, Charles Wilson, all those guys. And the next year, I believe he was the favorite in that 98 year. That's the last time a Longhorn that had the best odds to win the Heisman in the preseason, and they actually did it. So maybe VY had never had the best odds in the preseason. Remember, he was coming off of the year with Reggie Bush. Reggie Bush, I believe, had the best odds, or Matt Leinart, because Matt Leinart was also coming off. I think his already Heisman campaign could have won a second one. And
Adrian Peterson, I think, was the preseason favorite in 05 too.
You might be right.
If we're being honest, that should have been your winner in 04. Was Adrian Peterson. I thought Adrian Peterson was the best player in the country.
And by the way, Colt wasn't favored because Tim Tebow was
boom. There you go.
And you had Sam Bradford coming back too, who wanted to be.
Yep, good point. Yeah, so I guess throwing it out there. All right, before we move on, we're getting close to the end of our live stream. Let's thank another one of our sponsors. If you are dealing with aches and pains of any kind, speaking of legendary lifetime Longhorns we were just talking about, how about a couple of legendary lifetime Longhorns to give you a message about pain care?
Pros know the pain stops here.
Physical therapy helps me as an athlete then and now. And do I still need therapy? Yes. And Advanced Pain Care helps with that.
Injuries will stack up. They'll add up. You can't let those injuries get you down, and Advanced Pain Care has been very helpful for me.
We can help with whatever's got you down, from nerve damage to our spinal cord stimulator. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Same-day appointments available.
Advanced Pain Care. The pain stops here.
All right. Thank you very much to VY and Colt, and also to our friends over at Advanced Pain Care.
Hey, Rod, can I hit on something? Roger, because I should have mentioned this. Texas not in the top 4 for Cam Hamil. Thought he might OV. I heard yesterday that Texas I think they love Devon Benjamin. And I think Yaheem Riley setting that official visit, being a local kid that they really like. I think Texas kind of, and I'm not one of those guys that says, oh, Texas, the guy didn't have in his top 4, Texas moved on. I do think Texas went in a different direction on this, but I will say that, and I'm always real. I think Cameron Hamil's a stud player. It's not going to shock me if he doesn't go somewhere and be really, really, really good. I think he's really good, but I do think Texas might like somebody different more as their nickel in this class.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Jeff. Sorry for that, Jerry. All right. How about this one from the Green Lantern? He says, Rod just used a term that has always intrigued me. I wouldn't rush him back. I think we're talking about CJ Baxter. Thought the medical staff's evaluation overrides any coach's opinion. How can coaches rush a player back? Not necessarily rushing a player back, but you can take it slower. With a player, like once you get the okay that he's good to go, there's still the confidence factor, and whether that running back or athlete feels confident enough to go back to their old running style, right? With that injury, so that's the reason to take it slow. Also, I just think the chance of a re-injury until it's fully healed and fully strengthened. There are times where you can be cleared medically, but it's not back to full strength. You're just cleared medically because, yes, you have the capability to go out there, but you're still not back to full strength. So when I say don't rush him back, I'm not talking about start putting pressure or undue influence on anybody. I'm just saying he could ultimately, because he has that power to take it slower. So maybe the wrong term instead of rushing him back. I say Sark should take it slow with him. Like once he is cleared, I still would take it relatively slow with him and ease him back because you have that luxury with Trey Wisner.
That's right.
Yeah, I look at running backs coming back from a knee injury the same way I look at pitchers coming back from Tommy John. Like you can get the full clear from the medical staff, but until you get that first time, or you got to make that really hard cut, or for a pitcher when you got to really let it rip, man, you just don't know. And you can't put out a guy. You can't put a guy on the field or on the mound unless he's 100% sure of himself.
Well, and here's the thing too: is look, the reality is after the Ohio State game, you have 3 games you're going to be favored by 4 touchdowns. And you want Cedric Baxter to be 100% for starting the week of Florida, right? And the rest of the season. There's Ohio State. If you can't get through the Ohio State game with Trey Wisner and Christian Clark and Jarrett Gibson and James Simon, then you probably haven't done as good a job recruiting the position as you think. So, and I think they have. So, and after that, those 3 games, you're going to win. You're going to be favored by 4 touchdowns, but that's a great opportunity to let Christian Clark kind of come back from his injury. Christian Clark and Gibson have a competition for the 2 spot. Get James Simon some meaningful game carries and experience. And then when CJ Baxter is 100% mentally, physically, maybe even gets hit on the side of that knee in practice just to see how he's going to do. Then you get him back for the stretch run. And I think that is so important because with Cedric Baxter, look, I know there's some people that think, oh, he might go pro after this year. We'll see if he comes back and has 6, 7, 8 really good games in a longer season. But look, I have him more on a 2-year plan, and there's no reason to rush him back. You want him to be 1,000% mentally when he comes back, even if the knee's 100% physically. You want him to be ready to go. You don't want there to be hesitation, Rod, when he's playing against Florida in the Swamp.
Yeah,
I'll take it a step further with Baxter. Your second bye, you play Vanderbilt on November 1st. You get a bye, and then your last 3 in order: at Georgia, home for Arkansas, home for A&M. That's the stretch where I want CJ Baxter 100% confident, feeling like, yeah, he can be the CJ Baxter of old. He's ready to go. So you got time to work him in, because by that point, Jerry, who's to say that, has James Simon hit a freshman wall, or has Trey Wisner, is there too much tread off the tires? If there is, great. I've got CJ Baxter, who Nick Saban said he was the best running back he saw in 2023. I've got him fresh and ready to go for 3 really important games and then maybe the playoff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point. Actually, I like that plan. That should be the plan, Jeff. That's the plan. Do that. Do what Jeff just said.
I like it.
The plan. All right. A couple more questions here before we get done with the live stream. How about this one from Roger G? Says, Jerry, do you think Lamar Brown makes it to campus in May?
So Lamar Brown is the defensive lineman from Southern Lab in Baton Rouge. So the only reason this is where one of the new hires is Sark and Kenny Baker had some input on this, was really good for Texas, is Lylan Clark, who went to one of the magnet schools in Baton Rouge. Well, he was down to see Lamar Brown earlier this week, and now Lamar Brown, the 5-star, high 4-star, whatever you want to call him, plus, whatever you want to call him, defensive lineman, is talking about visiting Texas. And here's the thing with his recruitment. He wants to play defensive line. So whoever recruits him as a defensive lineman is going to have a real opportunity. And the fact that Texas didn't send Kyle Flood down there, they sent Lylan Clark, because Kyle Flood had gone down there a couple of years ago when he was a younger player. Texas shifted and sent Lylan Clark down there. That's a game changer for Lamar Brown. And right now, LSU and A&M are the schools being mentioned most. He has all the SECs. They're the ones being mentioned most. It will not surprise me if he takes a visit to Austin. I think having Lylan Clark on him, being from Baton Rouge, I think there's opportunity there. And I'm not saying they're going to get him, but it'll surprise me if they don't get him on campus. It will.
Okay. Thank you for the question, Roger G. We appreciate that. Jerry, before we get out of here, you mind telling the good folks out there about our friends over at South Point Dodge? Because if you're looking for a car, truck, new car, used car, trade-in, no matter what it is, our friends at South Point Dodge, they can hook you up.
Look, it's never too early to say this. Hey, Texas football fans, score an easy extra point next season, 2025. When you get to the point at South Point Dodge always has over 600 vehicles in stock, including a great selection of Ram 1500, 2500, and 3500. Whatever your truck needs, South Point Dodge is the one-stop shop. So score big today at South Point Dodge. Come see us off I-35 in South Austin or at southpointdodge.com. Get to the point at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge is Austin's automotive everything. Right now, shop over 50 2500s, all marked down with huge savings. South Point Dodge is always stocked with a great selection, kind of like the Texas secondary, Texas receiver room, Texas offensive line room, defense. I mean, just Texas football in general. They're the same. They're stocked with talent.
Tons of it. Thank you, Jerry. We appreciate that. All right. Last subject before we get out of here, guys. Thank you guys for all the questions. We do need to review the big news. Longhorns get the commitment of a 2026 cornerback, Hayward Howard Jr. Out of Louisiana. And I got a chance to watch film on him. He just committed. This young man does fit, to me, the profile of where this secondary what they want to evolve into. Ultimately, is a secondary that, yes, can play pattern match zone when they want to, but also can play man-to-man coverage when they want to. And this young man can do it, whether he's playing off man. I think he really projects as a press man corner. I really do. I mean, he gets on line of scrimmage. I think that's where he shines and excels. His frame of 6'2" plus also highlights that, Jerry. So I think the Longhorns got kind of a diamond in the rough here. And he is going to play corner, right? They cross-train a lot of guys. Is there?
He's a corner.
He's a corner. Yeah. I think to me, that says more confirms to me where this Texas secondary is going, because this guy is going to excel in press man.
Right. To your point. And the other two corners that are high on the board are Samari Matthews, where Mark Orfe was yesterday. Obviously, he was at Edna Carr today. Mark Orfe was watching Samari Matthews yesterday, 6'5", 6'1". And then you have Justice Fitzpatrick. I believe Orfe is going to be down there either Monday or Tuesday at St. Thomas Aquinas. I will be as well. I'm in South Florida for the next few days. Justice Fitzpatrick, 6'5", 6'1", same thing. So Rod, you're on it. Taller, longer limb corners. Now, one of those guys could play nickel, right? If Texas got a ball, which they probably won't. But now that you have Hayward Howard, now you're still going to have to battle LSU all the way to signing day. This is not a give up scenario. Corey Raymond and Frank Wilson aren't saying, "Oh, dadgummit, who's next on our board?" They're not going to play that game. It's going to be a fight. But look, it does tell you, if you keep Hayward Howard in the boat and you taking two corners, the other corners that are really high on your board right now are also 6 foot plus. To your point, Rod.
Yeah, it seems like the wide receivers and the DBs, Jeff, are kind of there's a similar, transformation that the coaches are having these position groups go through, which is they're just getting bigger, longer, rangier guys, period.
Here's a good question from David Keith Williams. By the way, people have asked about Dylan Berryman. No real update there for me. I think Texas will win that recruitment if they make a big June push. He's an over-the-ball player out of Monroe, Ouachita. Rod Babers, do you have any affinity towards Hayward Howard because he wears jersey 21? Does that get him a star ranking up in your system? Would he be like
No, let's see if he wears 21 in college.
Okay.
Right? If he wears 21 in college and stays 21, because most of the guys, they want to switch to single digits in college as soon as they get the chance. 21 is not as cool as it used to be. Still cool to me, but there's a reason that I am still the greatest number 21 in Texas football history. I shouldn't be. I'm not saying I'm that good. I'm not even worthy of being that. At this point, somebody should have surpassed me by now. But all the really good players that wore 21, they all switched to a single digit once they get enough clout and once they get enough skins on the wall. So I will see. If he stays 21, he's got a chance to surpass Rod B as the greatest number 21 in Texas football history. Gideon is kicking the air right now. No, Blake Gideon's in the conversation. All right, he's in there. He's in that conversation too. But I think me personally, my DBU rankings, I have myself ranked ahead of Blake Gideon. And I'll send notes to Blake when I actually get them done. I'll send them to all.
Here's where Blake could eclipse Rod.
He could.
If he's named the head coach at Texas in about 10 years. Then he probably would be, right?
Hey, he is already higher up on the DBU rankings because he became a DBU coach at Texas. That matters. My DBU rankings, he got a little boost because of that alone. So that'll be coming out later on this offseason.
It's not going to shock me if he's not on a list to be interviewed to be the head coach at Texas in 10 years or so.
Yeah.
I think he's working his way towards being on that list.
I don't disagree with that because whoever comes right after Sark wins this national title or maybe two during the Archie years, coming after that, you don't want to become after that. You want to come after the guy that comes after that. So maybe that's Blake Gideon. We shall see. All right. Hopefully that's a good problem to have. All right. Thank you guys for all the participation in the super chats. You guys are so kind. Really appreciate you guys helping us build this On Texas football family. Thank you as well to all of our sponsors. Hey, number 21 on the field, number yards. That's my man Jeff Howe's line. All right. So I can't even steal that. That's Jeff Howe's line. Thank you to Von Lane, vonlane.com. Use the code OTF25 to get $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. Thank you to Flat Creek Wine, Flat Creek Estate Winery, flatcreekestate.com. Thank you as well to South Point Dodge, southpointdodge.com. Really appreciate them and all their support here at On Texas Football and Advanced Pain Care. Just found out recently there's one right by the house, so I might be visiting Advanced Pain Care. Thank you guys. Thank you, Texas Boy Wonder. Thank you, CB. Thank you to all you guys. And thank you to Matthew behind the scenes. He's the real MVP. We couldn't do it without him. Thanks to Jerry. Thanks to Jeff as well. And for Jerry and for Jeff and for Matthew, I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Congratulations to Hayward Howard Jr., the latest Longhorn commitment for the 2026 class. And for all these guys, thank you guys for joining us, and hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em.